Brendan Gleeson, how are you today?
Yeah, good, thanks. Rory, how are you?
I'm pretty good too. You get a phone call by maybe Ben Affleck asking, will you play his dad? How does that go down?
No, he didn't actually have my number.
Oh, no?
No, so it kind of came through the usual channels. So, yeah, it was obviously immediately interesting. And, great. I was it was like a short enough stint, 2 or 3 weeks over there, and it is a bit of way to travel. But it was like, this is great. I love his films. I think he's a really, really good director, apart from the whole thing of playing his dad and stuff. And it was a properly written script. There was no negative side to this at all.
And when it comes to Ben Affleck, like, does he have a specific person in mind and then he gets that person, or did you have to go through like a casting process like most roles?
I didn't have to go through a casting process, in as much as I know.
Right.
You don't have to know all these things. You just get a call and say, Ben would love to have you in his movie, and you pretend that that's the truth.
Okay. And is that enough reason for you to go, absolutely, if Ben Affleck wants me, then here I am?
Well, it helps. It helps if you admire the person that you're getting the call is coming from. You know, obviously, if you want to work with the best people, and he's one of the best people, so of course, it makes a difference. Yeah.
And I know originally Leonardo DiCaprio was in line to play the role that Ben Affleck eventually took
Okay.
over. Is it different having the director also be the actor for as another actor?
Well, I did Braveheart, so this is a long time going back where I saw how that kind of worked, or worked in that case. And he's very disciplined, very authoritative, as I'm telling everybody. Like, it's very calm. He's not kind of searching around wondering what he wants. At the same time, there's space there to do whatever you want to bring to the table. And he was very open to any ideas. There was no real, it was just a question of kind of getting in and doing it. It was great. It was really, really cool. And there was plenty of time to go and do how many takes you needed. There was no time wasted doing takes that we didn't need. And just generally, it was just a great way to work.
The Irish accent is notoriously difficult for anyone who isn't in Ireland.
I work at it. It's like, what can I say?
Sienna Miller's in this was
great.
Fantastic. Like, I actually didn't recognise her until the main credits. I was like, oh my god, she was so good at it. But having yourself as an Irish person, were you able
that can be a bit of a double-edged sword now. That.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for somebody who had been working at it already, committed to what she was doing, and then somebody comes in from wherever it is you're supposed to be doing, you have to be careful that, because she would say, what's that? And I say, yeah, it's going in there. But you don't want to start getting into the difference between Cork and Kerry. Really, at that level, you got to be really careful not to be, too exacting in terms of what you're trying to lay on. So I kind of hopefully stayed away from that area and just kind of threw out a few things. And as soon as you could see the eyes rolling around, you say nothing. But no, I'd wait till I was asked, obviously.
Gangster epic is such a fantastic thing to have. It's such a fantastic genre to be a part of.
Yeah.
And looking at your IMDb page, there's so many bucket list entries. Spielberg, Scorsese, a big Tom Cruise epic. Is there anything genre-wise or people you haven't worked with yet that you're like, I still have to get around to doing this?
Yeah, but I was always hoping to work with the Coen brothers, but Donald went and worked with them instead. Yeah, I know. So I don't really think that way, to be honest with most people. It's always about the actual stuff that's there. I don't want to do things to tick them off. I really don't.
Right.
I mean, I was thrilled to be able to work with Scorsese and all these people, Spielberg and everybody. But really, it's about the quality of the work that you're going to be allowed to do with them, and that's where it's at. Like, it's I don't want to do it just to. I'm not interested in a CV. Put it that way. It's just at this point, it's you want to get your teeth into something that's worth getting it into. Yeah.
And of your CV so far, which of your characters would you say you have either related to the most, or if it's easier, had the most fun playing?
That's a good question. I've had a lot of fun with a lot of them. I relate to most of them, I'd hope. That's the whole thing. You try and get into a place where you can understand. I mean, at a more serious level, that's what you're trying to do, is get into a place where you can kind of have some interpretation of how, especially with historically true characters or, people from real life, that you try and get into a place where you can understand the circumstances of their life and their reactions to it by relating to the character itself. So it's kind of all, that's the answer. It's a bit an odd answer, but that's what I would say. You try to relate to pretty much every one of them if you can.
Yeah. For all the big blockbuster stuff like this and like Edge of Tomorrow and everything else we've seen you in, you still do come back to Ireland and take part very, very much in the Irish cinema. At the moment, it is doing, in my opinion, much better than it's been doing for the last couple of decades. As someone who's so embedded in Irish cinema, why do you reckon Irish film seems to be doing so much better?
Well, it's very hard to make a film that's successful. And even sometimes if you get a film that works on a particular level, it's not necessarily going to hit with people. Mm-hmm. And if you get it hitting with people from, your own background, it's not necessarily going to hit with people from abroad and all that. So there are enough combination of things that have to come together to make a good movie. And it all has to get together. And sometimes just the circumstances conspire where the stuff, you get really good people working together. You get a story that suddenly is part of the zeitgeist. You get, it's very hard to put your hand on it. You've got to kind of allow for the fact that there are going to be mistakes, and you've got to allow people to try. It doesn't mean you try; you don't care. It's that you've got to try and set up as many opportunities for the thing to work. It really is. There's an alchemy in it. Some of it is in the edit, some of it is in the casting, some of it is in the writing, some of it is in the direction, and for the whole thing to come together and then actually to make sense to an audience, it's a rarity. And so I don't think there's anything in the air or the water, particularly. I think that, we have a tradition now, which we didn't really have much of, where people cruise and people are trained, where, people are thinking about directing. We had very few directors for a long time. The actors are amazing. I think these new generations of actors, we've far more young actors now who are film savvy than, say, when I was around earlier on, because theatre would have been a much bigger thing, and it's a different kind of craft. So, I would kind of say we're going through a nice part of the cycle now, things to keep plugging at it, keep throwing stuff at the wall, and who knows. I think we can continue to make good cinema and reflect our own society really well, but we got to keep throwing stuff at it.
Fantastic. Brendan Gleeson, thanks very much.
Cheers.
Thanks buddy.
Cheers.